That was an extremely unnecessarily long introduction, and I have to say that Jack's absolutely awesome speech there is a very difficult act to follow. Starting off with a prayer that I think was something that set the scene really well. But a man after my own heart, talking a lot about action, and anybody who knows me knows that as an activist I am somebody who, wherever I go, always talks about the need for action and not necessarily for talking. So in a way you've taken the words out of my mouth, but said it in a way that maybe I couldn't. So I really appreciate your words. The messages that we've heard today are very, very important. And it's really been a privilege, actually, for me to have contact really for the first time properly with this honourable family. And I'm particularly pleased that the family were represented by one of my own sisters who I think that sends a very, very important message actually to maybe other people in this room who perhaps wouldn't have chosen a female to speak on behalf of this family. And I think it says a lot about the family and what they stand for, that they actually chose her to speak on their behalf, and I congratulate them and their vision for that. Mm-hmm. I think it was mentioned earlier by our friend David earlier about the importance of people standing together and actually for minorities being supported. And of course, as Muslims, we sometimes get a bit carried away and forget that we are indeed a minority in this wonderful country that we are in. And therefore, it's very, very important, as it is in other countries, for us to create allies and alliances with various people, and not just people of faith, but people all over the country. And as a faith, Islam is very, very important to us as Muslims. We have a spectrum of opinion, we have a diversity which needs to be celebrated much more amongst Muslims than I think it actually is. And many Muslims, I feel, have forgotten the great diversity that we have within our original teachings. And sometimes we talk about interfaith dialogue, but I actually think that the intra-community and intra-faith dialogue is also very, very important and actually crucial in the times that we're living. Extreme behaviour, of course, needs to be condemned and openly challenged. There's no question about that. And I could sit here and say now that Islam means peace, and often we do hear that from Muslim speakers. And of course it does mean peace, and it means a whole lot more than that as well. And I would say that Islam as a faith is a faith of the middle way of natural balance and harmony, and within that you then create peace. We talk a lot, and Muslims are very quick to quote from the Quran the verse that talks about nations and tribes coming together, and rightly so, it's a beautiful verse, but I often think we use it very quickly when we talk about people of other faith, and as I say, within our own communities we may be not as open-minded with each other as we need to be. We need to celebrate diversity and work together in social action, as our speakers have already mentioned many, many times, and the challenge from this conference, I would argue, is one of developing many more projects that deal with this issue of social action. We need to make a difference and be of benefit to others, and I believe that was the central message of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and all of what he stood for. When he spoke about giving, he didn't always talk about money, and thank goodness for that, because a lot of us don't have any money. So what happens if we don't have money? We have to give of ourselves and of our time and provision. And again, the example that this family have shown of giving and giving of provision and helping others, I believe, is one of the best examples that we can take from today. We have to come together as Jews and Muslims especially in a time where people often can't see beyond issues thousands of miles away and actually work together in this country as well. We have a shared history, and I've recently been really privileged to meet people from different backgrounds, and particularly from the Jewish faith, people who I've taken a lot of inspiration from, and people who I believe are living out their faith in a way that I can only hope that I can. It's a really important year for this country. We've already seen the Jubilee celebrations, the street parties, the flags are out, And it's a really, really important time, I believe, for the country to come together from all faiths, all backgrounds, and all ages, men and women, and reclaim what I believe the flag that has otherwise been taken by people who have more extreme messages than most of us feel comfortable with. And this kind of extremism has to be challenged from all sides, and that's why it's really important that groups like this come together and stand together at a time when groups from such as the far right actually try to divide us. We need to stand together and say that they don't speak for any of us. I was at a meeting recently, and somebody very eloquently, and I could have pretended I'd figured this out, but I won't. Somebody else did when they spoke about the Olympics and Ramadan. And of course this year for us, in Ramadan and the Olympics come together really for the first and only time. And obviously there have been some Muslims who've tried to hint at the fact that it's been done deliberately, and somehow that the Olympics has been put in Ramadan to somehow jeopardize what is otherwise a very, very special month for us. Of course, that's complete nonsense, and we have to realize the benefits of Ramadan and the Olympics coming together in this way this year. And the person I heard speaking recently mentioned 3 things that are common for us as Muslims in the very special month of Ramadan, and also with the Olympics coming at the same time. And those 3 things are friendship, respect, and excellence. And if you think of these 3 words in relation to both Ramadan and the Olympics, you'll realise that they come together very, very nicely. And in fact, just a quick plug here, and I have my leaflet. As we mentioned, I am working on something called the Ramadan Festival. And this is really us demonstrating how important it is for us as Muslims to open up, to help others, to benefit people, and to open our doors. And as someone said to me recently, remember that our mosques are in fact God's houses. They're not our houses, they're God's houses. And who are we to keep our doors closed? And I would also say, rather controversially maybe, to my brothers here, with respect, and talking about our mosques and opening doors, we have to open our doors for our women and to our young people as well. David mentioned earlier, and obviously is here representing the Archbishop, and if any of you haven't heard the speech that the Archbishop gave for the Queen's Jubilee, I would urge all of you to consult Sheikh Google when you go home and find it. It is an absolutely, probably one of the best speeches I've heard in a very long time, when he talked about social action and how we have to come together and work for the benefit of others. And it was a really, really inspiring speech. And in this work that we're doing in the Ramadan Festival and other projects that I'm involved with, this is very much about feeding the homeless. Why is it that Muslims should not become known for the people that help and feed the homeless or the people in need? And at the moment, to be honest with you, in this country, we're not known for that. Our faith is known for angry, black and white way of interpreting such a beautiful faith. And I believe that people, as the people we have in this room, are the people that can reclaim that message. And that's what we need to become known for. Thank you very much.